or whatever her name is. You see, she has 3 names. Dolly, the one I always thought was her given name. Irene, the one she goes by so that people take her seriously. And Natalia, the one she discovered on her birth certificate as an adult. Which one is real? Honestly, we still don't know. But no matter what you call her, we're here to honor a woman who in her 100 years has witnessed more history than most of us could ever imagine. And in true grandma fashion, she has done it with a no-nonsense attitude, an iron will, and just enough sass to keep us all on our toes. Grandma was born in the plains of Nebraska and grew up homesteading in an era when hard work wasn't something you talked about, it was just life. Her childhood was spent during the Great Depression, which came around when she was about 5 years old. Grandma's childhood included sewing dresses out of potato sacks and riding a horse to school with her siblings. When I asked Grandma what the most influential invention of her time was, I thought surely she would say the internet or maybe the smartphone. But nope, she hit me with electricity. Grandma didn't just grow up tough, she grew up surrounded by family. She lived on the compound with her aunts, uncles, and her parents who grew their own food. And Grandma, if I'm getting any of this wrong, you can correct me, okay? They raised livestock, preserved enough food, and I can hold her if she, okay. They raised livestock, preserved enough food to last through the harsh winters, and I'm pretty sure Grandma could still slaughter a chicken in her sleep. When I joked once that people must have been less anxious back then, she said, anxiety did not exist. Imagine living in a world where stress was just another word for get over it. She made it clear worrying was for people who had too much time on their hands. Grandma met her first husband, Fred, in high school. While Fred proclaimed Grandma was the great love of his life, Grandma said she just went with it. Fred went off to fight in World War II, right? And they wrote letters back and forth until he returned for a quick trip home. During that quick trip, they married, and Fred went off to Europe as a fighter pilot. When he returned, they had 3 children, Judy, Jerry, and Janet. Unfortunately, Fred's experience in the war left him with what we now know as PTSD. Back then, there was no name for it, and tragically, Fred took his own life not long after their youngest child was born. Did this stop Grandma? Of course not. She kept the farm going with her brother's help, raised her kids, and barely remembered any of it. That's right, she raised 3 kids on her own, and it didn't even make a dent in her memory. When we discussed why that might be the case, it could have been how long ago it was, and it could have been a reflection of Grandma just doing what needed to be done and not asking questions. That's classic Grandma. After a few years, Grandma started chatting with a shy cowboy named Ray at the bowling alley. After less than a year of dating, she told him, either marry me or move on because I don't have time for this. Ray, being the wise man that he was, married her. And so began what Grandma calls the best years of her life. They had 1 more child, Jeff, and together they created a life full of love and laughter and probably a lot of stubbornness. Grandpa Ray, her gentleman cowboy, was by her side for over 50 years. 54, if we figured out. And if you ask Grandma, those were the golden years. She always speaks of him with a twinkle in her eye and remembers how good he was to her. When my parents struggled with raising young children, Grandma and Grandpa stepped in graciously. They took us for weekends at a time, giving us a loving, stable environment and plenty of crafts and home-cooked meals. The ranch became a second home where we grew up surrounded by Grandma's tough love and Grandpa's quiet warmth. Then came one of the hardest chapters of our family's history, losing my mother in 2009. It was during this time that Grandma and I became very close. We bonded over our grief and our shared need for my mother, finding comfort in each other's company. Some days our conversations were short and sweet, filled with updates on the day. Other days they were long and full of memories. One of my favorite ongoing jokes with her, I'm sorry, this is long. One of my favorite ongoing jokes with her is my desire for a fat grandma. She would chuckle when I asked her if she was any closer to fulfilling my dream. What I admire most about Grandma is how much she's endured and how tough. Kelsey, do you want to come here? You want to come with me? Okay. I admire how much she's endured and how tough she stayed through it all. She never stops moving. Her life has been simple but beautiful, full of love for her children, her garden, and her beloved Nebraska. In so many ways, she's a portal to a simpler time. A time when people canned vegetables, slaughtered their own chickens, and didn't have time to worry about things like anxiety. I'm incredibly grateful that we've had this time together and that I've been able to hear her stories firsthand and learn about how people lived in a world without refrigerators, microwave ovens, or even electricity. Every time we talk, I learn something new, and I know that after she's gone, I'll kick myself for not asking more. So, Grandma, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being the tough, blunt, no-nonsense matriarch that you are. You've brought us all together, whether we liked it or not, and you've joined us what it means to be strong in the face of everything that life throws our way. We love you, and we're so grateful to have you here with us to celebrate 100 incredible years. Here's to many more memories, stories, and if I have my way, a few extra pounds.
And you're making me cry.
It's okay, Mom. We'll get the cake out.
Thank you, Judy. This is all for Judy and Jeff and Jerry.
Love you.
And family. Without family, I probably wouldn't have made it. But it's been a wonderful life. And I don't want to gain to 100 pounds. I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
But you can have a piece of cake, Mom. It'll be all right.
Everybody.
We love you too.
Yes, you too. Everybody. John, everybody. Jeff, Judy, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
You have to thank Judy and Jeff. This is what Judy and Jeff did. And Jerry.
And Candy and Jerry and
it was a big
Jimmy
surprise
and-
to me when I walked in. This is not what I said, no party. Well, look. Thank you, Jerry. And Ted, everybody, and thank you for coming. My family is just us. I'm sorry that Karen didn't come. She talked about it. And the one that's missing is Edward's children, Christy and Brenda. But thank you. Love you all.
Love you.
Another afternoon to go, and hopefully I'll make it. I tried not to cry, but I did. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But I guess that goes with it, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And I'll go home and cry tomorrow. And thank you. Without you, Jeff wouldn't have made it. And I appreciate all of you. Jeff, thanks for coming. And go home happy and accept life as it is.
Yep.
Keep smiling, because you can't, like I say, after everybody leaves, you say, thank God, right? That's my speech, I'm done.
All right. Good job, Mom.
I just think Jeff is home.
So,